Welcome to the Daily Taoist podcast with Will S. The Tao Te Ching was written about 2,500 years ago by a man named Lao Tzu. It is one of the oldest texts in existence and certainly one of the wisest. Its wisdom and message is as relevant now as it was back then, if not more so. It is vital that we learn to come back into balance with the natural world and to live in a more harmonious and selfless way. The Tao Te Ching beautifully instructs us in bringing ourselves and our lives into alignment with Tao. Tao is also known as the Way. Today on the podcast, I will be reading verse 1 of 81 verses and doing a small essay, compliments of Rory at dailytaoblogspot.com. Verse 1. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you can see the hidden mystery. Caught in desire, you can only see what is visibly real. Yet mystery and visible reality arise from the same source, and the mystery itself is the gateway to all understanding. The first verse of the Tao Te Ching opens on an almost cautionary note, warning us that the ultimate truth is beyond conceptualization and abstraction. How then can we seek to express the inexpressible with words and concepts without losing its very essence? How do we approach this eternal Tao and understand the mystery from which all life arises? The tendency of the mind is to create concepts and to regard those concepts as being the ultimate truth, when at best they can merely serve as pointers to this truth. A famous Zen story highlights this plight. In the parable, truth is analogous to the moon in the night sky. A wise man catches sight of the moon and attempts to point it out to his followers. However, most of his followers fail to realize that it is necessary to look beyond the tip of his finger to see what he is pointing to. Instead, they mistakenly believe that the finger itself is the moon. From this fundamental perception, entire religions have been created, where words and doctrines, the pointing finger, have become more important than that to which they were pointing. Most of us keep our attention fixed solely upon the visible manifestations of life, the world of the 10,000 things, as many translations of the Tao Te Ching describe it. We're so fixated upon objects, and this includes the objects in our minds, such as our thoughts, beliefs, and ideas, that we are totally unaware of which lies beneath, beyond, and within them. Or to use a metaphor, it's as if we're so focused on the words in a book that we're completely unaware of the paper upon which they are written and without which the book wouldn't exist. Only when taking both into account, the words and the paper, the forms and the formless, can true understanding be gained. The Tao is the intangible, formless essence from which all forms arise and subside, like waves upon the ocean. It is the noumenon of all, the root of all phenomenon. Without it, nothing could exist, and yet our senses, we particularly only the outward visible manifestations, the particular things of life. We name them and create abstractions about them in our mind. From language, concepts are born, and it is through this screen of concepts that we filter our reality. Our tendency is then to mistake our interpretation of reality as being reality itself. Instead of experiencing reality purely and directly as it is, We inhabit a virtual reality determined by our ever-shifting thoughts and interpretations. This is a second-hand experience of life at best. To lose ourselves in mental activity and abstract interpretation, forever engaged in naming, analyzing, and categorizing the outer forms, is to lose touch with the deeper sense of the Tao. When this happens, understanding remains incomplete because, in a sense, we're living a one-dimensional existence, aware of and only relating to the surface level of life. A life without depth is one that is perpetually unfulfilling and endlessly frustrating. Our fixation with objects is rooted in desire. Desire obscures our perception and keeps us locked in the ceaseless mode of acquisition and attainment. We become lost in the mindset of never quite enough, always craving more and more things, unaware that we truly yearn for is the experience of the Tao, the everything and nothing, no thingness that underlines all existence. When we cease to fixate on and the grasp at material objects, we are able to touch upon the mystery that lies at the heart of life. We move beyond a strictly one-dimensional experience of life, and innate richness, depth, and beauty of life begins to reveal itself. This is what Lao Tzu calls the gateway to all understanding. Yes, this podcast is an attempt to become more in alignment with the Tao Te Ching. We have fallen from that path greatly as world leaders and thinkers and philosophers. That is why there's such an imbalance in the world right now. Thank you for listening. Please follow at the Daily Taoist on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Have yourself a great and prosperous day. Namaste. Peace.